So I've actually just been reading through my LinkedIn messages for kind of just the last couple of weeks. I've just been scrolling through, and I kind of noticed a trend, and I wanted to kind of put this out there because I don't think it just applies to LinkedIn, because it's like Instagram is the same thing as well. Direct messaging people and pitching them doesn't work. I'm sure that you get some results from it. It literally will tick everybody else off. For me, I really am at the stage now that I just ignore them. I'm not even interested. Here's an interesting thing. So we're July 2019 now, so this would have been in May. In May, I signed a service contract with another company that is worth to them about $35,000 a year. That came from LinkedIn. The whole reason I'm working with that person now is that they're on LinkedIn. But here's the thing. They first connected with me, and I want to tell you how they did it, because if everybody would approach it this way, I think everybody would do better. They connected me first on LinkedIn, and I added them back. I then got a thank you message. Hey Steve, thanks for adding me. Looking forward to your content. There was no comment in there of like, oh, I want to see if we can be mutually beneficial. There was none of that. It was just like, that was it. Then I would say, I don't know, maybe a few weeks afterwards, what I'd noticed is that they'd started making comments on my stuff. And so that was interesting. I was like, because, it's kind of, we're all deeply selfish at the end of the day, and it's like, oh cool, somebody's talking. So I kind of was then aware again of that person's name. Then maybe another few weeks went by, and I got a message, and it was actually, hey Steve, I saw your post on this, and I don't remember what it was, and they said, I thought this might be of use. It was not a pitch for his service. It was actually, it was kind of like a value add. It was a PDF thing, and it was some ideas on dealing with automating content. And it was actually pretty good. And what I loved about the thing, I downloaded it, and because I didn't have to enter my email, I didn't have to do anything. I just clicked, it was there, click download. 90% of it was crap, to be honest with you. This is why I'm not mentioning the person by name. But there was a couple points in there that was actually very useful. And a few days later, he was like, oh, did you get a chance to read it? I downloaded it, I actually hadn't read it at that point, so it kind of triggered me. I was like, oh yeah, I need to read it. So I did. And I actually then messaged him, and I said, you know what, actually this point here was really helpful. That was pretty cool. And the next message was just, if you ever get any time, let's chat. Here's my cell phone number. I'm going to give you all a bit of advice, right? If he had said, here's my Calendly link or whatever those god-awful services are, go book an appointment with me, that would have been it. I don't care if he was the best company in the world. I'm done. I'm not interested. Because what's happening is we've got this personal communication going, and the moment I know that he's ultimately going to want to sell to me. The moment he says to me, oh, well, now you've got to go through my system. Now go into my automation. He's lost all the personal contact. But he didn't. He said, here's my cell number. Give me a call. I didn't, but I gave him my cell number. And I said, well, look, here's my cell as well. I'm traveling a lot, blah, blah, blah. Give me a message. He messaged me probably 10 minutes after that and just said, hey, Steve, just connecting here. So he's now moved the conversation from LinkedIn over now to my text messaging. I would say I didn't do anything again. Probably another week or so went by, and then he messaged me and he said, hey Steve, I saw another one of your posts, and he read it. He mentioned something in there that was relevant. So he said, do you have some time to talk? And I was like, you know what, let's talk now. Did that. I already liked him as a person at this point. He was personable. He was showing an interest in me. He did all that good stuff. So we got on the phone. I don't think he expected to close me there and then. The whole conversation wasn't trying to close me. It was a conversation, and I actually ended up saying to him, you know what, we need to just do this. I was like, I've looked at your product, because I had. I like it, let's just do it. He sent the contract over, we did it, it's done. Right there is how to do it. When you're blasting people with in-mail messages, we're all fed up. We get bombarded. I mean, what is it, like 7,000 ads a day the average person sees? Believe me, your in-mail or your DM on Instagram, anything where you're just like, bang, buy my stuff, we've turned off. Similarly, if you go down that route of connecting, chatting, getting some involvement, because when anybody messages me, right, and it'll be the same for you, the first thing that goes through your mind is, what are they after? You know, it's like they message you on Instagram, and I can always tell when the pitch is coming. It's like, hi, how are you? And I'm like, okay, here's the pitch. And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Where are you? Well, if they'd actually looked at my profile on Instagram, they would know exactly where I am, which means they're not reading it, they're not interested, which means they're just pitching. Same thing with LinkedIn. That point where, and the reason I'm bringing up the whole calendar thing, and I've had this for a few people where I've actually been chatting with them and they've turned around and said, well, yeah, let's chat sometime. Bearing in mind that they would have got work from me, because I absolutely 100% would have contracted out work to them. When they then push me into automation, nah. Because if that's how you treat me before I'm even a customer, how much worse is it going to be when when I am actually a customer of yours? So the Calendly stuff, you know, and the booking the appointment, I get that, and I get how that's used to pitch somebody your service, right? And I understand that, right? And if you're doing, you know, like, I understand the need for that. But when you're in a personal one-to-one conversation, when you pass somebody off like that, it's like an utter insult. For me personally, I don't care. I'm done with you. And so in business, you want to, people always like it if you've shown an interest in them, if you understand what their content is, if you make comments. Like I said, that guy, and it was, I mean, I don't know, it's not that big a contract. It's like 35 grand a year, so it's not a huge contract, but he took time. Now, the reality, if I think about it, he probably in total, not getting me on the phone, he probably spent 45 minutes total actually doing something, you know, involved with me. You know, he probably half read a post, made a couple of comments. I became aware of him. And then for him to just go, text message, let's make it, he lowered all the barriers of entry to speak to me. I think that's really cool. That's my advice on it. I know people that use it, that use like appointment booking services, will defend it in the post below, and cool. I will read them, and I do understand it. If you're trying to get people, if people are wanting to buy a service from you, the balance of power is shifted because they want to buy from you, so I understand that. But do not underestimate the power of just giving somebody your cell phone number and going, text me first so I know I'm around and I'll speak to you. That really helps. Leave the comments below whether you agree or disagree. I would love to know them. Interested to see this. Like I said, guy actually kept this personal one-on-one with me and got a really decent sized contract from me. All right, thanks.